Climate change refers to the shift in the Earth's climate caused by human activity, which can leave long-lasting effects on the Earth's ecosystems. Global warming describes the rise in the planet's overall temperature caused by climate change, but the two words are often incorrectly used interchangeably. The global crisis has been apparent since the early 19th century, but we have not seen much improvement in stopping its growth. As this is an issue that affects all life on Earth, it's shocking that it has not yet been immediately addressed. I turn to the youth of today to dive further into the current mindset and conversations held by those climate change most affects, those that are doomed to solve the issue. Jacqueline is currently a 21-year-old student at Northern Illinois University, double majoring in psychology and sociology and minoring in counseling. She does not particularly enjoy nature or have a passion for animals, but she owns a small dog. I asked about her current thoughts and concerns on the climate crisis.
Yeah, so the question of whether it's a pressing matter or not, I know it's a pressing matter, but for me, I can't change it myself, and I know everyone else won't care, so I don't even try, and I know that's a fallacy, and I know that sounds hypocritical, but truly, I can't change it on my own. I think that I won't see any changes or any impact in my own personal life, but I do think that it will affect future generations, which will probably affect like my future grandchildren or children if I ever have any. But again, I can't really change that. I heard somewhere that you need to turn vegetarian or vegan in order to save the planet, and nobody's going to do that. So we're too greedy for that. I think that we should place more emphasis and more responsibility on industries and billionaires who produce more gas emissions and more gas emissions than I ever will in my own life. Ultimately, I think politicians have the most responsibility in order to hear our generation out when it comes to environmentalists and the policies that we want to push forward for saving the planet. I think people honestly should pay the consequences for their own actions. I do feel bad for the animals though, a little bit. I'm not a huge animal lover, but I do feel bad for them because obviously they didn't ask for any of this, and it's our own doing. So.
A current student enrolled at Rockford University, majoring in psychology and double minoring in human development and English. Jocelyn is Jacqueline's fraternal twin, who shares a similar lifestyle. I asked about her thoughts on nature and personal experience with the crisis.
I think the climate crisis is a pressing matter, at least to me and to everyone. I think it is a global issue for all ages. I know that, at least in Rockford, I've noticed that winter is not arriving as early as it used to. I feel like I don't even see snow in December anymore. It's usually like January or February. And I think that's kind of pressing. Or even in October. I remember when I was a kid that in October it was really, really, really cold. And so we would actually wear winter jackets whenever we would go trick-or-treating on the 31st of October. And now, like, whenever I go with my little sibling, it's not as cold anymore as I remember it. Like, we don't even have to wear sweaters anymore in October, which is crazy to me. And I just think that goes to show how the globe is warming. As far as personal consequences, I think that maybe I won't see it right now, but I think in 50 years from now, when I'm like 50 or like 70 or something like that, we will start to see issues emerging. I know that, don't quote me on this because I'm really not that sure, but I know that we have until like 2030 for something to like occur. It's like the last chance we can fix the crisis before it gets way too out of hand. I know that pretty soon we're reaching the point of overpopulation, and that itself is, very concerning because we only have one Earth. I did my ecological footprint through a website recently, and I know that if everyone lived the exact same way as me and, did their same habits as me and all that stuff, we would need 2.5 Earths, which is just crazy because we only have one Earth. So I just can't imagine how crazy it would be if everybody just overused all those resources.
It is clear that Jacqueline and Jocelyn have opposing perspectives on global warming, so I asked them to further elaborate their reasoning for why they do or do not hold much importance in the issue.
The way that I was raised, I think, really shaped who I am now. I grew up in a family that didn't recycle or do anything to cut back on emissions or do anything at all to try to help save the planet. And again, I think that's reflected in my own practices as an adult. I don't recycle and I don't do much to, stop wasting so much trash.
I do believe that the crisis will have personal consequences in the future. Maybe not right now. I'm only 21, but maybe when I'm 50 or like 60 or 70, I feel like the problems that we already have at hand would be even more bigger and even more apparent later in my life. I know that my kids would probably have to deal with the consequences of past generations, like not doing their part. And even my generation, who I think we should be doing more and we're not doing enough. I know that there are great activists like Greta Thunberg that really are advocating about this issue, but I still think we're not giving enough importance over the subject matter. And as far as I doing anything that will ease my mind from it, not really. I'm kind of like my biggest hypocrite. I know that I should care more, but I don't really practice any good sustainability. Maybe the most that I do is that I try to pay attention to not buying from fast fashion sources. Like I never go on like Shein or like Fashion Nova or anything like that. I'm always like conscious that I'm buying good material from like, that's 100% cotton or like anything that's, good for the environment. I know that sustainability in that way could be impactful, so I try to be conscious over that. I think that I am the way that I am because I think part of my actions are due to my own free will. I mean, I grew up in a family that didn't really recycle and didn't really have that knowledge or education in their forefront about the planet, but even then, I've always loved learning, and at school I've always liked the science courses and learning about that you should be more conscious about your habits. Like I remember in third grade very vividly that there was this guy who came in and he was giving this water presentation over how you shouldn't like take a shower for over 5 minutes, and then he gave us like a little timer, and I took it home and I really did try and practice taking a 5-minute shower. And then later in high school, I took AP Environmental Science, and I felt like that course was really interesting and kind of like perspective changing, because beforehand, like I didn't even know much about how to better my habits or like about the planet Earth. But when I took that course, I learned a little bit more about, the dirt, the nutrients, the weather, like things like that. And so I thought that was pretty impactful to how I practice my habits now. And that's also the class where I did my ecological footprint. So it had good resources, and I still have those in the back of my mind today.
Yeah, with other people, like Rachel's here, they want her to speak. Yeah. Rachel's just like that.
2024 was the warmest year on record. This slow-building climate change has had disastrous effects on human and wildlife populations. Due to the greenhouse emissions, 1 in 9 deaths worldwide can be attributed to air pollution. Between 2010 and 2019, nearly 160 species were declared extinct. In the past 50 years, there has been a decline of 73% in wildlife populations globally. Ultimately, climate change and its effects are not only real, they spell doom for the lives of every species on Earth, from the smallest of bugs to the largest of blue whales and every animal, human or not, in between. The potential to not only solve this issue, but to ensure the lives of everyone should excite and encourage action. There is very much to be done, and the time on this planet